Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner-operator of ExpertlyDyed Art by Science, and today we are going to learn how I make my pottage bats. Now, what is a pottage bat? Well, it's basically everything that comes off the drum carder that doesn't go on the Swift the first time around, or anything that I find sort of undesirable for the project I'm working at hand, like, there's a nubby thing when I want it to be a smooth yarn, or I pulled out too much fiber for making something out of felt, so I didn't know what to do with it, so everything just goes in here. Um, Everything that goes in here is something that I would use again. Just whatever project I was working on, it wasn't suitable for it, so I stuck it in here because it can be used again. And because of that, there's a lot of different colors and textures, different types of fibers in here. We got sparkles, we've got like bits of silk, even like little pieces of yarn that went in here as well. So what I'm going to do, I went ahead and I just carded up some blue fiber, which you have already seen a few times now, so you know how to do that. And what I'm going to do is the actual creating part. Now, when I make my pottage bats, I want to make sure that they sort of make sense from an artistic point of view. From an artist's point of view. I swear, English is my first language. So what I'm going to do is I have these couple of colors. I have this sort of a bluish purple here, a reddish purple here, and then I have a wine red here. My husband makes fun of me because the way that I describe things is when I shake things. So shaking and pointing, this is what I like to do. So I'm going to sort of make a colorway on top using these colors, but I'm also going to be picking things from here sort of to accent these colors. Alright, so I'm going to put that on the drum carder in this type of fashion. So let's just go ahead. I have that purple. I'm going to start with this purple. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to be super specific with how I put this on here, but I'm just going to kind of open it up and get it on there. And again, with these bats, even though I'm using a lot of recycled content from what I've generated here, I don't like just using only that fiber. I still think that it's better to have a little bit of carded wool or combed top, like what I have here, for even making these, because it's going to make a slightly more sturdy yarn than wait, I just put this on. So it's going to make a sturdy yarn, and since a lot of you guys are beginners, I feel like that's really important. And I'm not saying that, a veteran spinner or whatever wouldn't make use of these bats, or that I'm saying that they wouldn't be capable of doing this. I'm just saying that I think that it provides a nice sturdy base for making yarn, because you can be a really great spinner, but if you don't really have good yarn or good fiber to start with, it's going to be really hard to turn that not so good fiber into a really good hand spun yarn. So I've kind of set up the colorway for what I want to do here, but then I'm just going to like pick out a little bit. So this is a little bit of Falkland that I dyed before leaving to come to Korea, and I'm just going to feed a little bit of this on. And then let's see here, where the wine red is, I've got a little bit of this. This is actually some of the fiber I dyed before coming as well. This is just a superfine merino that I dyed in sort of like a berry red color. I'm going to put it over the middle section here. And this just, I mean, this isn't necessary, but this is just the way that I like to build it to add some more interest. And I think that it works for that purpose. Oh, it's like the same color. So, let's add this purple. This is sort of like a lightish purple color, pretty standard. And occasionally what will happen is like I'll get something stuck to it like this. I really like this orange here with it, so I'm going to just card that together on here. Oh, it didn't stay. That's okay. I'll put it on here like that. Okay. So it's on there now. And when I'm making these, I just want to keep in mind the types of colors I'm going to go for, because I'm going to do a lot more blending of color combinations with the Pottage bat, more so than in my regular bats that I make. So I have to pay a little bit more attention to what colors I'm actually using. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I make one of my sandwiches here. So on this purple that's got a lot of blue, and it's like a bluish purple, I'm going to take a little bit of that foundational color and this beautiful like Caribbean blue, and I'm going to make sort of like a little fiber sandwich here. Not too much. Okay. So I've got my blue here. I'm going to lay that down on the feeder, and then I'm going to search through here for some interesting colors. Okay, so here we have a little bit of blue sari. I'm going to put that on there. A little bit of blue sari. So, ooh, I'm going to take just a little pinch of this pink bamboo. Put that on there. And add in a little bit of this just plain white. And then, okay, this is some really great colors. So this has pink and a little bit of blue, a little bit of red. There's some Angelina already stuck in here. So I'm going to fan this out a little bit more. I'm going to lay that down. And then I'm going to take this purple, I'm going to lay it down over the top. And I stagger it a little bit so that the top piece is back just a little bit, so that when it goes on, the end won't get wrapped around the liquor quite so much. Alright. And then definitely feed this on slowly so that the fiber, that's like whatever fibers you put in there don't get stuck. A lot of times these fibers tend to be, I think I have like fiber on my mouth. A lot of these fibers tend to get sort of like mixed up in here. So I just want to be very careful and make sure that while I'm making these, I don't crank too fast. So I don't want to ruin my drum carder. So I found this really pretty light lavender color. I'm going to put that down. I'm going to grab this little piece here that has a lot of interesting colors, even like a teeny little bit of green, which I think will go well here in the middle. I'm going to open that up a little bit, lay that down. My middle color there was this darker, sorry, this reddish purple here. I'm going to take a piece of this, right, and make a little sandwich. I'm going to card that on, like that. Okay, so hopefully you've started to be able to see here how these colors are coming up more like streaks, like that. And when I'm done, I will show you the finished version as well. Okay, and then we've got this last color here, which is the wine red color. Let's find something interesting. Oh, how about this? Let's use this red again. Oh, not again, but for the very first time, we'll use this red. And like I said, I try as hard as I can to make sure that I pick colors and fibers from this little container. But sometimes it's hard because like I'll be forming something and it's like, oh, actually I don't really have any of this or whatever in here. So I'll go and find a little bit of that to take off to put on here. That happens. It's not a big deal. So for example, I don't really see a lot of green Angelina. Oh, oh wow, look at this piece right here. This has got so many great colors. I'll have to use that for something. But what I'm going to do is I want to add green to this, which sounds weird, but I'm going to add some green Angelina, and I'm also going to add some dark green sari silk. I'm just going to take about this much of the sari silk. Just kind of put that on there. And then I'm going to take a tuft or so of the green Angelina. I'm going to put that on there, and then I'm going to cover the whole sandwich with this little piece of fiber here. So this is actually what the fiber sandwich looks like. There's the Angelina and the sari silk is in the middle. And then I feed this whole thing through over on the left side of the drum carder. See if you can see that color coming out. See how it goes to like this like bluish color, like bluish purple, to more like a reddish purple, to more like a dark burgundy red over here. So there's kind of like a gradient forming. And then this is basically what I would do. So 50% of the batt would be just plain wool to give it a good base. And then the next 50% would be me basically making all of these little fiber sandwiches with like a bunch of goodies in the middle, so that when it gets fed on, it has this really incorporated feel, especially if you're going to be a felter with this. You don't want to have the Angelina on the surface because it's going to, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder to felt. Usually you'll want like some kind of sandwich, so you'll fiber, non-felting material, and then fiber on top of that to sort of lock it in place. So that's kind of what I'm doing with this from a felter's perspective. From a spinner's perspective, what this is going to produce is a yarn that has more texture throughout the length rather than only on the surface. So you might see little pieces that sort of like pop up out of nowhere when you're spinning. I love it when that happens. It's kind of like a little surprise. Anyway, so this is what I would keep doing to finish it off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going with making this batt, and then I'm going to come back and show you what the finished result looks like. Okay, stay tuned. Hey, and welcome back. So I've added a few more layers to this batt, and I ran the burnishing tool around so it's really packed together. So what we're going to do is just remove this from here. And like I said, you know, this isn't going to be as thick as my normal pottage batts, but it's going to be very similar. Whoa! That didn't quite come off the way I wanted. That's okay. It can go back in here. I'll use that again. And then basically just remove this like you would putting your hair up in a ponytail. And especially with these, like I don't really ever mind fiber transfer. So if there's like fibers on the underside as well, it doesn't really bother me. But this is the finished version of the batt. And it doesn't really look a whole lot different from the other batt that we did together, the sparkle batt. However, it's just the way in which it's constructed that can make a difference. So if you will remember in the previous video series on drum carders, the sari silk and the Angelina and anything like add-ins type things, those were on top of the fiber rather than integrated in. So that's probably the biggest difference. It doesn't really translate into a big difference per se in the finished product, but it can be noticeable as you're making whatever it is that you're making. So anyway, so this is how I would make a pottage batt. And part of the reason why I usually end up selling these for a little bit less money than my regular batts is because I'm using materials that maybe didn't make a first cut. Maybe they're a little bit shorter for whatever it is I'm doing. So a lot of people would consider those scraps because they would be otherwise unusable. But by recycling them, I'm sort of breathing new life into it, which is really good for me because I'm starting to make a bigger change to being conscious of my carbon footprint. And so by doing that, it allows me to reincorporate some of these things that would otherwise be considered waste. And actually big manufacturing companies would consider it waste and just throw it away. So they might not be desirable for certain kinds of projects, but you know, they might be for whatever it is that you're going to make with this, be it like art yarn or a felting project or something like that. So so yeah, it may not be the most perfect fiber to use, so it's a little bit damaged, but it's twice lapped, and that's part of the goal here, to just keep reusing the fibers. Anyway, so if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Anything else I've talked about, like Twitter, Facebook, Etsy, that will also be in the description below. If you want to see these pottage bats, they are for sale on my Etsy shop. They are one of a kind, so if there's one that you like, definitely get it. And yeah, so help me save all these beautiful fibers from the landfill by purchasing one of these bats. Awesome, right? Makes you feel good. Anyway, if you have any other questions, you want to see me do more tutorials with my drum carder, please let me know in the comments below, or you can find my email address in the description as well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye!